Good instructions are unambiguous, understandable, complete, consistent, and efficient. Writing a process essay is very simple, but only when you know the step-by-step approach that allows for crafting a brilliant paper. Writing clear instructions is essential, so let's see some important things you should consider doing before, while, and after writing a process analysis essay. Determine the target audience. Who are the readers? What knowledge do they need to understand this process? Before you start writing, take the time to think who your audience is and what they expect from your paper. This will help you to determine what you need to address, as well as what language to use while you're doing so. Ask yourself the following question. Is your audience educated in the topic? Do you need to provide them with some background information, with some background specific information? Should you cover the basics, or should you move on to advanced things? And for example, what language should you use in the essay? Create a list of materials. Offer clear descriptions of any tools or materials needed to carry out the process. A process essay discusses how things is done, and we all know that in order to do something, you need to use some materials or tools. Therefore, before you start writing, create a complete list of the tools or materials the reader will need to finish the task you are explaining. Do any cautions need to be given? Explain the trouble spots and what the reader ought not to do. Include warnings where appropriate. If needed, tell what should not be done, or why something should be done. You can point out a possible problem that the reader is not supposed to do. If you have a fear that the reader will take the wrong action in your directional process, ensure that you indicate something that should not be done. Include every important step. Skipping an important step is a mistake that is likely to be made, especially when you are writing something that is familiar to you. You have to slow down and examine every element of the process. Leaving out a step of the process will make your essay look like an unreliable source of information. Divide the process into separate actions. Almost any undertaking, even a relatively complex one, can be followed if the instructions separate the process into clear steps that the reader can follow at a time. Give complete instructions. Remember that your readers do not know how to perform the task. That's why they are reading the instructions. Include all steps, no matter how obvious they seem to you, and include necessary background information. Be specific. For example, telling the readers to remove the old oil filter is inadequate. They might not know where to locate the oil filter or how to remove it. To be specific, you may want to go through the process, or even better, to convince a friend to go through it and take notes on exactly what you do and when you do it. Does the process have definitions that need to be clarified? Define any terms that your readers may not be familiar with. If there are necessary items that need to perform the process, mention these items to the reader early enough in your directional process. This will help the audience to assemble them. Mentioning them early is convenient. For instance, when you are preparing a recipe for cooking something, you list all the ingredients first. If there are technical terms of vocabularies that you have used in the list, you have to provide definitions so that the reader can understand them. Make the sequence clear. Use plenty of transitions to indicate the chronological sequence of steps. Every step should have expressions like first, second, next, at the same time, or 15 minutes later. The reader should never have to guess when or in what order the steps should be followed. Avoid telegraphic style. To ensure readers will be able to understand the instructions, do not omit words like a and the, and do not rely on abbreviations. For example, instead of writing add 1 kg flour to dough, write add 1 kilogram of flour to the dough. Following these tactics will help you write adequate instructions for your process essay.